The Fan. HNSN, The Fan.
Good morning, Starshine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Feel the beats.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the VIPs Podcast Global, presented by High Navy Life and Golden Sounds. I am your host, Ethan Jamal, and as I stated, we don't have any interviews until next month. We got a lot of football to talk about today. In the second half, we will talk college football. At halftime, I want to elaborate on the Shedeur Sanders situation. I really didn't get a chance to talk about that last week. I want to give my thoughts on that in this episode. Usually at halftime, we go off sports topic. We had a cruise story to share last week where James Michael Grimes went full-on Jacques Cousteau, Kung Fu, drunken master in the middle of the sea and survived by treading 20 hours in rip currents and shark-infested waters, which is just flat out amazing. However, today we will briefly talk about why we left Japan and a couple of shout outs. At the end of the show, we will have a new song release called the VIP Podcast Anthem by Feel the Beat, Centipede's Feet, and 21 on the Block. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing that song for the very first time and sharing it with everyone. But right now, in the first half, I want to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars' loss against the Bengals. But let's first do a brief recap rundown of that game in week 2. On the opening drive, the Jags opened up with a touchdown, then a fumble challenge that was upheld, which could have gone either way. Then came the first interception by T-Law, which was underthrown badly, I must add, to Travis Hunter, which should have been thrown to the back pylon. He came up short. Then the Bengals scored with Jamar Chase on the ensuing drive, 7-7 tie ball game. Then Tootin was set up for a nice screen pass with the Barry-like juke for a touchdown, set up by T-Law, and the Jags are up 14-7. Then we saw more penalties by the Jags, as usual, but overall, they won the stat board. They won total yards, rushing yards, yards per play, third down efficiency, total plays, sacks allowed, game possession, and even turnovers, as crazy as that sounds. Despite all of that, and T-Law throwing for 3 touchdowns, he had 2 costly interceptions, with one not being his fault. But the most important stat, which is the scoreboard, the Jags lose 31-27 and drop 1-1 on the season. And for us, the most important eye-opener was the questionable PI, and it was. Travis Hunter played that textbook perfect. I mean, this is how D-back coaches teach that technique. Travis stayed arm's length. His eyes were fixated on the low. He had perfect body position. I mean, perfect. Raised his eyes in time to swat the ball away with his left hand. Meanwhile, being pulled and tugged to the face mask by the offensive player, and this should have been an offensive pass interference. No question. I mean, what are the refs thinking? What are you, blind?
Excuse me, I got something in my eye.
Even my man, Dave Portnoy, had a lot to say about this.
Let's start by saying this. Yes, I bet the Jags. Yes, this was 4th and 5 in the game. You call this pass interference with the game on the line? This is a ridiculous call. You can't have refs determining a game. This is absolutely insane. He looks back, deflects the ball away. He's playing patty cake with his other hand. It's how you teach it. Absolutely Perfect defense from Travis Hunter. You throw a flag on 4th and 5. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting football. And enough of it, Goodell. Make these refs full-time. This is disgusting. Disgusting. This ref should be suspended. Make him watch the film. Where do you have pass interference? Where he turns around, knocks it away. It's perfect defense. If I'm a Jags fan, I'm boycotting.
Barstool Dave didn't flop on that one. And you can follow him at Stool Presidente on X. Look, I understand every call won't go as it should. And we have definitely seen far worse calls. Like the PI the Rams got away with against the Saints. And then, what was that? The NFC Championship a few years back? A couple years back when Drew Brees was playing. That was extremely outrageous. You could tell something was going on there. I mean, Travis Hunter's phantom PI is definitely not on that level. But it's fairly obvious that was not a good call. It just wasn't. And we have to start holding these refs more accountable. Or at least create a third eye watch panel. In, let's say, New York, kind of like the review booth they do with the NBA. They were doing that. Or the UFL, they have the I don't know if he's in Vegas or New York or wherever he is. They review it all. They review the refs. I think we need a referee or a panel for the referees, just so they get it right. Or better yet, check that. How about this? Let's get Dave Portnoy to overrule the refs when needed. How about that? And I can see already how that's going to go down.
Okay, guys, we have far too many complaints. The refs are stinking up the plays with missed and bogus calls. We have decided to create a panel of ref judges in real time, led by Mr. Dave Portnoy from Stu Presidente. All opposed say nay. All approved say green light.
That's a good idea. Or maybe not. I'm pretty sure there will be a conflict of interest with that online betting. I mean, obviously I'm joking here, but make no question. All I'm saying is something needs to be done about this for all the teams, for the betterment of the league. That's all we're saying. That's what we got to do. We're tired of seeing games being determined by greedy bettors and other energies that shouldn't be in the game. How many times have we seen referees actually ruin the game of football? I mean, completely ruin it. That's not good. We got to do something about it. But anyway, regardless, next up for the Jags, they got the Texans at home, who's looking to bounce back after that 1-point loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And let me say this before I forget. Let me say this. There was also a play in the fourth quarter around the 11-minute mark or so, around 11-minute mark, where T-Law made a completion to B. Thomas Jr. on his route and being pushed out of bounds. You remember that? He was at the back of the end zone and he tried to come down. He was pushed out. Back in the day, you used to get away with that. If you're pushed out, they used to rule that a touchdown or a completed pass. Now you can't do that anymore. And it's been like that for some time. So here's an idea to combat that. How about adjusting those end zone routes? I'm talking to the coaches. I'm talking to B. Thomas Jr. I'm talking to T. Law. Instead of going all the way back to the end zone and giving yourself little to no room, how about cutting the route shorter so it gives you some room to spare and shield your catch zone where you don't get pushed out? Pull up 4 yards short and make sure the other passing routes do not compromise that. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I haven't seen that from the Jaguars. All right, because these guys in the NFL, they're extremely fast, extremely quick. You got to use your smarts a little bit more. You know, I'm going to take a page out of, what's his name? What's the guy that used to play? He's at Colorado now. Warren Sapp. What did he say? The game is 90% mental, 10% physical. We got to do more of that. All right. And we got to limit the penalties on top of that. Look, Jaguars, you have a really good team. You have a really good team. But none of this is going to matter. Talent only takes you so far. You got to use the IQ. You got to use your brains. And back to that end zone situation, let me use a scenario for you when I played professional basketball. When I played, I would do what you called a shield post-up so I could receive the ball without issues. In football, you could do this with some skillful modifications to make it work. You could do it. And I always say this, it's impossible to be a maverick and copycat exactly like others. It's impossible. So what you have to do is modify that to your system so it works. Because the Jaguars lost a game they should have won. Jags should have won by at least 2 to 3 touchdowns easily. With a backup quarterback, they should have blew that game wide open. They had no business losing that game. Everything seems forced right now. It's not flowing as it should. And I always like to use the other scenario that I'm about to explain and share with you. The 1997 NBA Eastern Conference Finals, game number 4. When the Chicago Bulls played the Heat in Miami, where the GOAT went 0 for 11 through most of the three quarters. He went 0 for 11 through most of that. 0 for 11, guys. Now, keep in mind, the Bulls were up in this series 3-0. Looking to close the series out with a sweep. But the Heat had other ideas. This is back when Alonzo Mourning was playing. MJ went 9 for 35 for 25% field goal percentage. And he ended up with 29 points. But here's the kicker. After the 0-11 stretch, he had 9 for 24, which is 37%, which is still not good. That's not a good shooting percentage. But what's amazing about the final stretch was in the fourth quarter, listen to these guys, he scored 20 of the Bulls' 21 points at one point. 20. He scored them all after an 0-11 start. What changed? He went from LaBalco Bricker to GOATness in a split second. What changed? He let the game come to him versus forcing everything. He was forcing everything in the beginning. He changed his style. Okay? Just like those kung fu movies you see, you know, where some guy, some average Joe can't beat some other guy. What does he do? He goes back, he trains, right? He gets better, he learns a new technique, he switches it up, he comes back, and he smokes the guy. All right? The other guy can't beat him. That's what MJ did in a short time frame. And also playing 18 holes of golf on the same day might have something to do with that sluggish start. Not good for average humans like us, but MJ is MJ. He's the only one who could do something like that. Only he could do that. Got to stay focused, guys. The Jags need to refocus. But anyway, well, I could tell you who is focused. FSU versus the U fan war is still ongoing from last week. It all started with Christie's "Roses Are Red" email. Then at the end of our show, John fired back with "We're going to rip off your spear and play darts with their goose egg." You can relive those interactions in episode 1 by going to our website, highnavi.com/email podcast, and get 101 on how we roll. But the trash talk war continues. Dear Ethan, my waist bone's connected to my knee bone. My knee bone is connected to my collarbone. My collarbone's connected to my hip bone. My hip bone's connected to my butt bone. and my butt bone is connected to my sharp, pointy Noel spear. Sincerely, the entire U fan base. P.S. You tell John the forecast is sunny, no hurricanes are coming, just a good old-fashioned open can of you-know-what. Noel's in a landslide, Olivia in Tallahassee, Christy's sister. Well, how about that? Noel's Nation called in the cavalry and brought reinforcements. But Olivia, seriously? My knee bone's connected to my collarbone? That's brutal. I would hate to see that medical bill. Classic. I mean, so what's up, Miami? You gonna take that lying down? Or you gonna let Red Sonja and Tomb Raider spear you up like that? What's up? I guess we will find out as the show goes. You know, it got me thinking. With all these emails that are coming in, and they're pretty good ones too. Maybe we should start a top 12 email ranking system for the best trash talkers voted by us here at HNSN. And I'm seriously going to give this some thought. Seriously. Anyway, break time. This is the end of the first half of the VIP Podcast Global, presented by High Navy Life and Golden Sounds on HNSN Feel the Beat Radio 2452. Halftime segment is up next. More sports talk in a bit. Keep it locked.
HNSN, the fan.